You mentioned about the 3.5% goal of spending. What year was that for, if you could refresh my memory? 3.5% NATO GDP spending. 2030, thank you. And right now we're at, the government is self-reported to NATO 2% of spending. Are you aware that that is not verified by NATO? That's just a self-reporting, and NATO accepts that?
I'm sorry. Could you repeat the?
Well, just
Mr.
the
Chair?
2% that we have. It's self-reported to NATO. They just say, "Oh, okay, yes, we accept that."
The reporting to NATO is consistent with the NATO standards and verified by NATO.
It meets all NATO standards. So in the NATO standard, it says that Coast Guards would be required to deploy to an operational theater. They need to have that capability to be counted under that 2% spending, whereas our Coast Guard definitely is, we've heard under testimony, not capable. So I'm giving that as one example of not meeting the proper spending, and it's self-reporting to NATO. And in fact, I would refer to the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, which is the global standard on determining government spending, and they've actually singled out Canada, saying that we've only actually spent 1.5% that has met the NATO spending requirement. So not only have we not met it by the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute study, we've been singled out by them. So what makes up that other, and that's a lot of money, another 0.5% of our GDP that doesn't qualify as NATO spending, according to them?
Thank you for the question, Mr. Chair. I know you will have the Chief Financial Officer for National Defence here, likely for an estimates or some other appearance, and I might recommend that would be the person able to speak.
Is there anyone else in the panel that could explain where that 0.5% of Canada's GDP simply does not meet the requirements of NATO? No one. Okay. I'd like to move on to a different topic. We talked about maximizing spending and efficient spending of dollars for the defence investment strategy, and I think that's commendable. And we also want to get the right things that we need. However, testimony from industry leaders that we had here earlier in the committee, they said that there was no national security plan, or they agreed with me that with no national security plan and no national capability inventory, it makes it very difficult for them to work together and to determine what we need to purchase for Canada. So would you agree then that, just start from left to right, that we actually are missing a national security plan as an underpinning to determine what we need in terms of the proper equipment and capabilities that we wish to bring forward? So maybe Ms. Folks.
Thank you for the question, Mr. Chair. As you know, establishing a national security plan would be under the purview of departments such as the Department of National Defence. Obviously, with international ramifications, Global Affairs Canada would likely play into such a strategy. I understand that we're here today to talk about the defence industrial strategy, and all I can say is that the build, partner, buy not only involves domestic focus, but also broadening our trade relationships, and when we must, buying from our trusted partners.
So thank you, and if I could very quickly then, a national security plan would look at things like cognitive warfare, pre-kinetic threats, coercive trade, election interference, organized crime. These are things that would determine the threats that Canada is facing. I see none of that in the defence investment strategy, and industry has pointed out that we need this in a national security plan to efficiently guide. So we can buy these tanks or these ships or those rifles, but if we don't know what it is that we need, it seems it does not seem to meet. And I don't know if anyone would agree, but as Ms. Hembroff said, you want to maximize the efficient spending of our money, and it seems without that underpinning, without assessing all these multiple threats that we face, it seems to be willy-nilly. Would anyone agree or disagree with that? And if you disagree, why?
Mr. Chair, if I may, I'll start, and also my colleague Kendall will likely add. We're currently operating with the defense policy Are Nor Strong and Free from 2024, which is pretty clear in its articulations of the threats that Canada faces.
Does it include some of those threats? Are they even addressed?
At a time.
Thank you.